Satnam. I wanted to come on today to do my own accountability of my weekly healing talks. If you have a better name for them, definitely put a comment down below and let me know. I would love your input. And I would value it. Very much so. So I was looking back on my videos, the past ones on power versus force, and I was wondering, why did I start talking about it? Or why do I talk a lot about a lot of my writing, a lot of my work? It's always about like strengthening, finding that inner power, like overcoming goals, trying to reflect back on my own like career choices and my own life trajectory. It has always been that. It's like, what am I overcoming currently, right? And I just had a divine synchronicity moment, a manifestation of miracles, from the divine guidance, my spiritual ascendant masters speaking to me, and it brought me to tears. All right, just be vulnerable. And I figured why I am talking about this topic. We all deal with trauma, and at least in my own life, my trauma stems from no matter how many times you can do work in your life, there's so many strong connections that we form from spiritual bodies with our spiritual bodies, because it's the strongest cord. It's like when they talk about the Japanese tales, that there's that red string that's connected to everyone. So like when you have a particular pain or something that just keeps coming back, like old habits that die hard, it's because it's connected to like a situation or a person or even your own self that you had made they're called divine contracts, spiritual contracts with people. And the cord is, it can vary. The cord could be tight, it's a strong bond, or it could be, for example, it could be loose. It's not that strong of a bond, right, between your relationship. And the reason why I was writing about this power versus force is because, a lot of the issues that I deal with stem back from my relationship with my mother, where I felt like I had to defend myself back then. A lot of your choices or habits that you feel and you are aware of now come back from what you had to do back then, out of being forced in a situation where you were not given the space and time, or even time to process what was going on. It was just your initial instinct, right? My instinct back then, in order to feel, validated or loved, was, I acted out in terms of, okay, well, if she doesn't like what I say, I'm not going to speak. That was my defense mechanism. Or, oh, she's always remarking about how I look like, you're ugly and fat, etc. Fill it in. Well, then I'll just keep eating. So, I'll just keep layering myself, shielding myself, so she can't hurt me, and, going back into the power versus force, it's like, my message here is to help people, realize that power there's moments in your life where you'll find yourself feeling weak. But your pain in your life, in every area of your life, you know, from the past, present, we also have to find gratitude in it, because that pain is really just a force, a false power. And true power comes when you're able to sit in the present and realize, like, oh, I'm not going to let this moment scare me. You know, I'm not going to let them overcome me, right? And force me to do something that I don't feel right about doing myself. And so going with that is, like, I always, point number 3 for me in terms of my defense mechanisms of force, false power I had done in my life growing up to defend myself, was I try to do everything and anything to please her. And when even that wasn't enough for her, it, you know, it created a false story that I wasn't enough. And so as a result, all these formed habits of ways of defending myself carried on, you know, up until now. And I'm still working through it. It just manifests differently, you know. And so today, the current struggle from that is that, you know, I've had a fear. I have a fear I deal with, that, you know, I'm worried about the wrong decision. If I will make a wrong decision in my life, you know, I'm sometimes afraid of making a decision because I feel it's permanent, and that if it's the wrong one, then again, I'm not claiming this, I'm laying it out there, I'm the fuck up. You know, it's not that this choice was wrong, you know, or in the moment of what I'm trying to do, you know, because every moment in life is a decision of your own as to the best choice for the highest good. Is it good for me? But sometimes you're forced to do things without even really thinking if it really is good for you, or if it is coming from a good place. Pausing. And that was my current struggle. What the manifestation of my trauma had come up. It's like, I was worried. You know, am I making right choices? Sometimes if I'm not, like, in my confidence, like, if I'm like, okay, paint it, you know, so I can stop being vague. I had made the decision to go to India for like 3 weeks, like about a year ago at this point. But I just recently have been questioning it. I paid the money, you know, but I've been questioning it. And to be honest, like, the day I was purchasing the ticket to go to India was when I saw, in the moment of purchasing it, I was frustrated. Force. Okay, force. And I'm like, in that power versus force, so I was in the moment of force, easy. And I remember, click, it wouldn't go through. I was like, why the fuck isn't this going through, you know? It was so weird. And for a moment I thought, it was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be going, you know? Because when it's forced, it's coming from a negative energy source. And sometimes it's meant to protect you, you know? Well, IGTV only does 10 minutes. I'm about to do a shameless plug. Head over to my YouTube video channel, and I'll link it to watch the rest of this, because there's healing in this conversation for someone out there.